I'm Amber, and today I'm going to go over the 7 dimensions of ABA. So what I use to remember the 7 dimensions is the acronym BACAGE. So this stands for behavior, analytic, technological, conceptually systematic, applied, generalization, and effective. So again, BACAGE. Or like na 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 BACAGE. That helped me remember too. So behavior is observable and measurable. So I could put, so an example of meeting part of the criteria of behavior would be if I pour something into the measuring cup, like so, it's measurable, but is it observable? I can see it, but it's not moving. So this would go under the whole dead man's test. So if the idea being that if a dead man can do it, it's not behavior because the dead man's not moving. So yeah, so the quinoa here would fall under dead man's test. So you can measure it, but you can't observe it. So it's not technically behavior. So, moving on. So that was behavior. So now we have analytic. So this is when decisions are data-based. So an example would be like you have a graph that shows like, here's the baseline, there's what's going on. So like the intervention here would be praise. And then you would reverse back to baseline again to see if your intervention is working or not. So yeah, there's that, which would fall under analytic because you're analyzing the graph to see the data. Another idea that I thought could be helpful is you have choices. So you're at like a crossroads and you can think like, is my intervention working or do I need another one? That kind of thing. Or if you haven't started the intervention yet, you could put one in. So that's analytic. Decisions are data-based. Then you have technological. So this is when procedures are described clearly and concisely so that others can implement accurately. So in this scenario, if I had somebody come in to take my place, like a cute little whale, I would want to be able to have my treatment plan to be described well enough so that someone else can come and pick it up. Likewise, you want this for your technicians because, like I know for me, some cases, like the technicians flip over. So I might write a program for like one tech who's like really able to do the task well. But perhaps the next one will come in and maybe is brand new and has no idea what a MAND is. So I'd have to like break that down into smaller terms. So yeah, that's technological. The other thing is like an operational definition. So you're just making sure that the procedures are described clearly and concisely because they don't want to read like 15 pages of something. You could also think of this as like a recipe. So like if, grandma makes really good chocolate chip cookies, you would like for her recipe to be good enough so that when you try to make it, it tastes the same or similar. Yeah, so technological, recipe, also known as like operational definition. Next we have conceptually systematic. So these are the interventions that are consistent with principles demonstrated in the literature. So the examples of literature would be like anything from like the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis that's peer reviewed is typically a good idea. And the Cooper book, also known as like the ABA Bible, that also has a lot of really good things to go from. That will be conceptually systematic. That has things that are already like researched and peer reviewed and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, conceptually systematic is just interventions that are following the principles that are demonstrated in the literature that's evidence-based. So like an example would be like of not evidence-based would be like a gluten-free diet. Something that would be evidence-based would be like DTT, discrete trial training, or like natural environment training, all evidence-based. So then we have applied. So these are socially significant behaviors, is what you should select. So, yeah, so my example here is like friends. Like, sure, they can have like, typically a good life by themselves, but is it living to the fullest? Is it socially significant? Which is why I have friends, because, sure, life is great and you like to read and be alone, but friends are important too, which is why it's applied. Other examples would be maybe like teaching them not to scream in public, or just like different things that could be more socially relevant. So that was applied. So I thought of it as like friends, like socially, friendships. Generalization. So I have a lot of little cards for this one. So this is skills and behavior that occurs in environments other than when they were taught originally or discretely taught. So it's great if little Ada can do, GMI, or can say hello, or, can have like reciprocal conversations with friends in a therapy setting. But once you get her outside and she can't do those, then it hasn't generalized. So again, like, she can do really great at the ABA clinic, or she can do really great at home, but you want to make sure that it goes beyond this. So a good step would be like, she has it in center, so then you're going to expand it to home, making sure that, she does it with her family, her siblings, her cousins, those kind of things. And then you want to make sure that it generalizes to school. So like with peers, teachers, you want to make sure that it goes to like the grocery store. Because I'm sure mom would like to not have to get a babysitter forever when she goes to the grocery store. So like maybe making sure that she can say hi to, the cashier or something, depending on whatever skill you're working on. Making sure that those also generalize to the park, because kids love parks, typically. So making sure that all the skills that you've taught have generalized to other environments that they're going to encounter. So that's generalization. And then effective. So interventions are monitored to evaluate the impact on the target behavior. So effective. So in this one, it would be empirical support. And then the progress monitoring. So if you put in something for like echoics, like teaching them to talk, you have the empirical support for like vocal imitation, and then you want to monitor the progress. So it's effective if, she's doing if little Ada's doing good with following, like she's mastering all of her targets, and then you can see, is she maintaining the skill when you're not actively teaching it? Is it generalizing to other environments? Is she able to use it with her friends or applied? Is it an intervention that you're using that's conceptually systematic, that's in the literature? Or are you trying like the newest fad? Technological, making sure that those procedures are clear if you're putting in the echoic program. Making sure that you're doing a database. Don't say like, oh wow, little Ada said B today, but maybe that was like one time and she doesn't usually say B. And then making sure that you're able to witness those, so they're observable and measurable. Did she say B once? Did she say it twice? Did she say it 20 times? So that was my little mini review of the 7 dimensions of ABA. Again, behavior, observable, measurable. Analytic is decisions are data-based. Technological as procedures are described clearly and concisely so that others may implement correctly and accurately. Conceptually systematic is interventions that are consistent with principles that are demonstrated in the literature, such as the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis. Applied is socially significant behaviors that are selected. Generalization is skills or behaviors that occur in environments other than what they were taught. And then effective is that the interventions are monitored to evaluate the impact on the target behavior. So making sure that your intervention is indeed working consistently. It doesn't just like rise, and then whoop, gone. So yeah, I'm Amber, and that was my 7 dimensions of ABA. And sorry for dogs barking. Bye.